Hi, my name is Samantha Tabb, and this is my EDL 853 Module 14, When a Student's Rights Are Wronged. So first I'm going to go over the summary. I'm going to talk about the facts. So some things that I know of the people that are involved is Dr. Harvey, the superintendent. He has a good relationship with staff. He's in charge of 6 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. Miguel Hernandez and his parents are involved. Miguel's doctors, the attorney that his parents have hired, Ms. Gutzman, and also the principal. And any, teachers and students that are involved as well. So the facts. Miguel is a sophomore and he's a successful quarterback at Nottingham High School. He gets tackled during a Friday night game, causing him a spinal injury, which causes him to be paralyzed from the waist down. He also has a ton of support from his friends and family. Because of this, he requires a lot of time off, obviously, to recover. His parents, previous to him coming to school, they met with the counselor, Ms. Gutzman, to talk about his return to school. They need the doctor's permission to return. And then other than that, parents think he needs no accommodations other than he needs access to all of the classrooms. Miguel returns. He meets with the counselor, Ms. Gutzman, and the schedule has changed. So apparently Miguel goes home, talks to his mom about it. Mom calls and schedules a meeting with me, who is the principal. And her concerns are, why has the schedule changed and why was there no notification? So during the meeting, Mr. Hernandez comes in with an attorney who is Howard Carey, which then leads into the next part, legal and ethical issues. So who has been harmed in this situation? Well, clearly Miguel has been harmed. He has to change his whole way of life. His schedule has changed. He does not have access to the entire school because of his injury. His peers might notice or change their view of him. And he clearly wants to go to a certain college. And because of the schedule change, his college future is uncertain. Miguel's family obviously has been harmed. They probably have hurt feelings, lost trust in the school. There's no communication. This is why they have hired an attorney. And then the emotional time spent worrying about their own kid. And I know as a teacher and as a parent myself, I know you are your child's best advocate. So it is important for a principal to just remember that. It's not always a personal issue. They are just their child's best advocate. So the school in that case has also been harmed. The school's reputation, the principal's reputation, the counselor's reputation, the superintendent's reputation, and then possibly for parents who don't necessarily know a school system, the first blame is the teacher. So in that case, trust has been spent. It's not trust is broken. So I really loved the quote, "It takes many good deeds to build a good reputation and only one bad one to lose it." And that's by Benjamin Franklin. So there were a couple laws that were violated, Section 504, and then also the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. Miguel does qualify for these services, and then his parents are also under these things, they're not entitled to a hearing. I do believe, yes, these actions, by changing his schedule and not giving access to a class that he had previously had, that is very discriminatory. So we do need to remember that. So next, I'm going to synthesize. The school does not have the means necessary to accommodate a student with a wheelchair throughout the entire building, and now the school is facing legal action. Could have this been avoided? Absolutely. The school should be ADA compliant. And then also by consulting all parties in this situation, and not just making an executive decision by changing the schedule. So next, I'm going to synthesize again. I'm going to put together all the parts, and so this is what I think. These are the known facts that I have about the people. Miguel is paralyzed. He's unable to attend his biology class because the school is not ADA compliant. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez are concerned because the schedule changed and they're not notified. They also hired an attorney. Miss Gutzman, this is a mistake. She didn't necessarily meet with the parent. She did, but made an executive decision to change the schedule and only told Miguel. I met with the parents, and then the attorney came and voiced his not even concerns, like we are violating the law right now. The unknown facts that I have about people is, why did Miss Goodsman, the counselor, not consult the parents or me? Was Dr. Harvey, the superintendent, aware of the situation? Are the Hernandez family and the the attorney, open to developing a plan and working with us? What does the biology teacher think about this? Is the teacher willing to move classrooms? Are other teachers willing to move classrooms? And with a school this size, is Miguel the only student in a wheelchair? Then about the place. So it's Nottingham High School in Dover. The school was built in the 1950s. There's one high school serving 3,200 students. They have relocatable trailers for classroom space. In order for Miguel to be in this biology classroom, there's no class access to it. They have a lack of funds. 1/4 of the school remains original, which means it's not ADA compliant. They have a lot of community support, a lot of football support, and the incident happened on the football field. So some other things that I don't know about the place are there any other classrooms not being utilized, or are they all being used? Can they use the library for this particular class? Why is the current biology wing, or why is this biology classroom, or why are any classrooms not accessible? Did they ever think about a situation like this? It is a huge school, so it intrigues me to know, is this the only child that is in a wheelchair? What is the cost to make the area accessible, and is there any funding available to make it accessible? The next thing, what I know about the program is Nottingham High School has a great academic program, has a good football program. The Hernandezes would not have moved there unless it was well known in any way, shape, or form. The other science class does not count towards Miguel's college program that he wants to get into, and that obviously not all classes are accessible to all students in the school. Some things that I don't know about the program is this a typical high school? I've only taught in elementary school, so this is just kind of like a personal level. Like, is this normal? Is there another biology class available in the school? Is there a way to make this a virtual class option for all students, not just Miguel? What kind of program is Miguel wanting to attend to where a class in my school does not count towards the credit to get into this school? Do I need to reevaluate or check into this and other college requirements? If my class is not rigorous enough to get into a college, maybe we need to reevaluate a whole situation. And then since Miguel is a sophomore, this sounds kind of shady, but it did cross my mind, so I thought I would leave it in here, is because he is a sophomore, can he take this his junior or senior year? And I know that's not a fight I'm willing to fight when it comes to legal, but like, can he take this class later? That's just a thought that I had in my brain. So the next thing I'm going to do is prioritize my information. So community damage. Absolutely, this is going to create community damage. School reputation. Principal's reputation. I could be sued. Ms. Gutzman's reputation. She could also be sued. My program. The programs that are at this school could be losing their reputation. Miguel is not receiving an adequate education that he deserves to have, and the Hernandezes, they realize that their son is not receiving also an adequate education. And as a principal, you need to remember forever and always that a parent is most likely not being difficult to be difficult. They are advocating for the child in the best way that they know possible. So whether it's my job or someone else's job to make them realize that we are doing the best that we can, or maybe we're not, and then we just correct a mistake and move on. And move on is that sounded horrible, and I didn't mean it to, but we learn from our mistakes, and then we just do better the next time. Also, are his friends and family going to change their view of our school or Miguel or the whole situation? That's not something that I'm willing to risk. Who does this affect? Well, first of all, it affects everybody. The school, Miguel and his family, the principal, who's me, Ms. Gutzman, the community, and then students with disabilities. If they realize this school is not ADA compliant, are kids who deserve an adequate education going to come to our school? Maybe, maybe not. I doubt it. So the opposing team, with that said, the opposing team at Nottingham High is also not responsible for the situation, because when you are on a school sports team, you do sign a waiver saying you are, you know, the possible risks of the participation part. Thought I would add that. Has everyone been consulted? Not at first, absolutely not. The case study said nothing about consulting the superintendent. It talked about the superintendent, but was Dr. Harvey actually involved in this situation? Also, was the school's legal team involved? The doctor, I mean, they mentioned the doctor, but it didn't mention that the school had talked to the doctor. The parents, yeah, I mean, they've been consulted, but they hadn't been followed up with. The teachers involved in moving, I don't know. I don't think they had been involved at this point. And then a construction team. Are we going above and beyond to make this an ADA compliant school? We need to consult a construction team to even get a quote. Can I learn more about the situation? Absolutely. All the whys and whats were listed in the unknown section. I don't know all the information. However, do I have enough knowledge? I do have a ton of unknowns, but I do know that this situation would not cause me to go, I would not have to go through this situation by myself in a real district. There would be people, principals, my superintendent, my assistant principal, maybe even another principal, depending on how big the school is. You are never alone in these situations. However, you do need to follow the law. But I do know in this, if I had to make an executive decision, and hopefully it wouldn't be Ms. Gutzman's executive decision, I do think that I have enough information to make a decision that would be appropriate to the situation in which we are in. So that leads me next to my options, and then also the consequences that would follow the options that we have. One, do nothing. The consequence of that would be lawsuits, loss of reputation and community support, and probably our job. Number two would be moving the classroom. The consequence for that would be, it would be a lot of work for teachers. We would be moving in the middle of the year, or it's football season, so it's necessarily, it didn't really say how far into the year it was. Football season's the beginning of the year. And then also a lot of students would be affected by that. Number three, can we turn this into a virtual learning situation? For every student. And if we made it for every student, they wouldn't be with their peers, and they might not want to be in the class anymore. And then, do they have access for virtual learning? The fourth one would be a temporary movement for that class. If there is another biology class, which was an unknown, I don't know, can they just, for one period, this teacher swaps with this biology teacher and the class is just downstairs instead of upstairs? I mean, that's another thing that I don't know about the school, so I did make that an option. However, with that said, there's students affected, the materials, and possibly the teacher is affected. Number five would be construction. Why is it not accessible? Is it one stair, two stairs, 75 flights of stairs? Is just not elevator accessible? I don't know, and that is a part of unknown. So can we make, I know this sounds shady, but a makeshift ramp, and is there funding available for this? However, the consequences of this would be funding, time, and if they're having to build something during the day, would this be a distraction to students? The last thing I would say is homebound tutoring. I mean, it's not creative, but it is something that I have heard of. But the consequences of that would be a lack of social interactions, and then their parents would have to be home for that. Moving on, so the pros and cons of all of my things, which I feel like I've covered, but I'll do it again. So if I do nothing, the pro would be, it's easy. It's always easy to do nothing. But then the con would be legal action, job loss, a loss of community support, and then I'm not meeting the needs of the students in my class. In order to be a teacher and a principal, you go into it because you want to help kids. Number two would be moving the classroom. The pros would be you're able to participate in class, you have community support, parent support, and your willingness to accommodate. The cons would be moving the classroom. affecting other teachers and students, the time to move the classroom, the materials to move the classroom,